Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. We're diving into something pretty massive today. We are breaking down episode 1 of the Silicon Drama Analysis. And honestly, this is the exact week that technology stopped being just, code in the cloud and actually grew a physical body. The stakes really could not be higher.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so excited to jump into this because this wasn't just another week of tech updates. If you follow this space, you're used to those super sanitized product drops, right? The polished, almost magical demo videos. But this material, it shows a completely jarring pivot. The industry is hitting the physical realm, and the stakes have suddenly shifted from user metrics to literal geopolitical survival.
There's a quote from the source material that captures this perfectly. It says, "The stories were not only about software anymore. They had weight, they had bodies, factories, airports, courtrooms." I mean, this week was fundamentally different. We aren't talking about a faster app or slightly better autocomplete. We're talking about technology suddenly having a literal physical footprint.
Exactly. It's moving out of the browser and into the real world, and it's dragging the weight of massive military contracts and intense geopolitical pressure right along with it.
So the big question framing this whole explainer is simply this: who is actually building the infrastructure of the next world? For the longest time, the defining question of Silicon Valley was basically just, hey, who has the smartest chatbot? But as we're going to see as we go through this, that question is starting to feel way, way too small. The real battle now is over who is seizing the physical, logistical, and geopolitical power to run the future. Okay, let's dive into our first section here: the physical reality of AI. So the biggest robot story right now isn't happening on some slick tech stage, it's happening at Haneda Airport. Japan Airlines is bringing in humanoids for heavy cargo and baggage loading by May 2026. It's a huge contrast from that old era of viral dancing robots doing backflips in tightly controlled environments. This new era, it's an unforgiving reality. Airports are loud, they're crowded, they're chaotic. True usefulness for a robot isn't a backflip. It's surviving a grueling 4:30 a.m. shift on the tarmac right next to tired human workers. And to meet that harsh reality, production is scaling incredibly fast. Figure AI just reported a massive 24x production improvement. They went from making one robot a day to one robot an hour in under 120 days. And why does that 24x number actually matter? Well, humanoid robotics has a massive data problem. You need robots out in the messy physical world, collecting real-world experience to make the models better. So more robots out there means more data, which creates this critical data flywheel that just accelerates the whole industry. But here's the thing. A body just isn't enough, which brings us to Meta's recent acquisition of Assured Robot Intelligence, or ARI. They're buying the intelligence layer, the brain, because a robot body without a brain is literally just expensive, heavy theater. But once you give that body the intelligence to adapt to dynamic human environments, the whole thing transforms. It suddenly becomes viable labor, serious logistics, and real heavy competition. Which brings us to our next theater. AI enters national security. AI models are quietly stepping into the classified networks of the Pentagon. The U.S. Defense Department just set up agreements with Google, Microsoft, Amazon, OpenAI, and SpaceX to augment decision-making in complex military environments. But look at who's missing from that room: Anthropic. They've spent years cultivating a brand focused heavily on AI safety, and they actually had a dispute with the U.S. government over the use of AI in war. It really highlights what happens when a company's safety branding violently clashes with the gravity and, let's be real, the massive financial pull of military contracts. Power has a gravity all its own. Sitting out means you miss out on the room where the decisions actually happen. And speaking of those closed rooms, OpenAI's Sam Altman recently announced the rollout of something called GPT 5.5 Cyber. Now, this isn't an app for everyone. It's a restricted model going exclusively to critical cyber defenders to secure infrastructure. The internet kind of grew up on the idea that digital tools spread to everyone equally, but this signals a huge shift. The most capable frontier models are no longer public apps. They are becoming restricted, institutional, strategic weapons. Right, and when these AI tools do hit the public workforce, the stakes are just incredibly high. Take the recent Claude Code backlash. Anthropic made a system change to reduce verbosity, and it inadvertently harmed the coding quality. Developers didn't just find it annoying, they reported feeling gaslit by the uncertainty of it all. When AI becomes your everyday workplace tool, a sudden, unexplained drop in quality damages the absolute hardest thing to patch. AI companies aren't just selling intelligence anymore, they're selling trust. Trust is a perfect segue here. Let's look at part 3, the Musk versus Altman trial. So Elon Musk and Sam Altman are basically turning the founding myth of OpenAI into public theater over in Oakland.
Back in 2015, OpenAI launched as a nonprofit, framed heavily by Musk as a charity to protect humanity. By 2018, there's an email from Altman literally stating he is not doing it for the money. You can trust those idealistic time capsules with today, and wow. Now it's a massive profit-driven structure on trial under fluorescent lights. It's this messy fight over authorship, bruised egos, billion-dollar valuations, and of course, the looming ambition of Musk's own company, xAI.
Yeah, and the trial is just full of these deeply human, almost absurd theatrical moments. At one point, Musk accused OpenAI's attorney of asking a leading question, and U.S. District Judge Yvonne Gonzalez-Rogers made him repeat a startling admission. He just had to say, "I'm not a lawyer." It got laughs in the courtroom, but the judge has also had to repeatedly warn Musk about his behavior and his attacks on social media. It's literally the world's most visible AI conflict, but it's playing out not in a tech lab, but through legal procedure.
Moving on to the foundation of the tech itself, our next section, the big tech chip war.
So NVIDIA is obviously the undisputed king of AI infrastructure right now, but they have to worry about these highly ambitious allies inside their own castle. Google and Amazon are NVIDIA's biggest customers, yet Google's custom TPUs just drove a 63% growth in their cloud revenue. Meanwhile, Amazon's Trainium chips are driving 40% growth with an annual run rate over $20 billion. These hyperscalers are just refusing to be trapped, paying an eternal tax for NVIDIA's expensive compute. They're building their own hardware to seize control of the margins.
And the hardware isn't the only battleground getting complicated by these power plays. There's a serious geopolitical twist right now. China ordered Meta to unwind its $2 billion acquisition of the AI agent startup Manus. AI agents are the crucial next layer, right? They sit directly between the user and the entire internet, handling workflows, commerce, all of it. When a government steps in to block a deal like this, it makes one thing crystal clear. AI agents are officially politically sensitive strategic territory. Bringing all of this together brings us to our final point. Who holds the power?
When we synthesize the airport robots, the military models, the lawsuits, the chip wars, we see exactly what the tech industry is becoming. It's a layered global power structure. The body is robotics, doing the physical labor. The brain is AI, making the decisions. The infrastructure is the compute and the chips, holding the whole thing up. And the distribution is the massive reach of big tech. When you stack these together, it is no longer just a fun consumer product category. It's a comprehensive global power structure being built in real time.
Which leaves us with the ultimate cliffhanger and honestly the perfect question to wrap up this explainer. The machines aren't just on our screens anymore. They're walking into our physical rooms, our airports, our military bases. So when the next world starts running on machines, who will still be holding the off switch? It's a provocative thought for sure, and it perfectly sets the stage for the power struggles we'll be watching next. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, and we'll see you next time.